Welcome to Hawthorne Ridge. You've been fined $80,000, the woman announced, waving a glossy envelope like she was handing out a party invitation instead of dropping a financial bombshell. I stared at her, shovel in hand, boots caked in the same mud she probably thought I'd tracked into her precious society. I blinked once, then asked, "For what?" "Livestock," she sniffed, the word dropping from her mouth like a personal insult. "This isn't a barnyard." I turned, slowly, gesturing with my mud-covered hand toward the fenced pasture behind me. The three horses, Sugar, Bandit, and Max, were calmly munching on hay beneath a hand-painted wooden sign that read, "Welcome to Hawthorne Ridge, established 1947. Then I looked back at her standing there on my land, my family's ranch, in a tailored pink blazer like she was inspecting a luxury spine. I knew in that moment this wasn't going to be a normal dispute. This was a war. She just didn't know I'd already been bred for this battle. The ranch had been in my family for generations, one stretching across 100 acres before developers and suburban sprawl shrank it down to a resilient 10. My Uncle Henry fought tooth and nail to preserve it. He let the HOA creep closer, but he never let it touch the ridge. And in his will, he left me not just the land and the animals, but his fight too. I'd only been living on the ranch for 2 weeks when the first letter arrived. I genuinely thought it was a welcome packet. It was embossed, elegant, slipped into my mailbox with the smug precision of someone who cared too much about font choice. But inside, a list of violations, fine totals, and something called a livestock penalty schedule. $15,000. For what? I whispered aloud, alone in my barn. Unauthorized agricultural activity. Disruptive animal sounds. Unapproved fencing. That last one made me laugh. The fences had been custom installed by my uncle 20 years ago, reinforced with steel posts strong enough to survive Texas storms. I called the number on the letter and got someone named Janet. But after a minute of stonewalling, she transferred me to someone else. That someone was Linda Warner, president of the Hawthorne Hills HOA. And yes, she was a real-life Linda. Clipboard and all. She said they'd scheduled a hearing for my ongoing violations. "Your activities disrupt the aesthetic harmony of the neighborhood," she read from script. I calmly explained that my land wasn't under HOA jurisdiction. She said she'd escalate. I told her to bring it. 3 days later, Linda showed up. Red heels, clipboard, and it looked like my barn had personally insulted her. She pointed at the barn. Unapproved structure. She pointed at the horses. Unregistered livestock. She even pointed at my scarecrow old mannequin in a flannel shirt and straw hat my uncle used to joke was our ranch foreman. Visual nuisance. That one actually made me laugh. I offered her a cup of coffee, just to see her reaction. She declined, of course, but not before asking if my horses were vaccinated against community spread. I still don't know what that meant. Then came the sign. One morning I walked out to find a massive red laminated placard staked beside my mailbox. It read, "Notice HOA fines pending. Property in violation." Bright, obnoxious, double-sided, and worst of all, it spooked Max so bad he shattered part of the main gate. I yanked the sign out of the ground, loaded it into my truck, and drove straight to the HOA's office, a glorified shed attached to the community pool. It smelled like lavender and legal intimidation. Linda was there, sipping iced tea like it was mint julep on a plantation porch. "You trespassed," I told her, slamming the sign on her desk. "Community access overrides individual barriers," she said with a smile. "Not on legally zoned agricultural land, it doesn't." Her smile faltered. She didn't know I'd already gone to the county office. I had certified land use maps sitting in my glove box confirming the HOA had zero legal control over my ranch. She pulled out another letter. This one with an updated fine, $80,000. "Refusal to comply," she said. I asked if she'd like to explain that to a judge. She said she'd be happy to go to court. "Great," I said, because I already hired a lawyer. Her face dropped. Think I wasn't throwing Raegers. I wasn't parking RVs on my lawn. I wasn't running a commercial rodeo. I was just cleaning stalls, mending fences, and feeding animals. The kind of quiet, honest work that doesn't show up on HOA Pinterest boards. But Linda didn't want peace. She wanted power. And my ranch? It reminded her she didn't have any over me. The neighbors were split. A sweet couple with 2 young kids would bring them by every other afternoon to feed the horses. They loved Max, but others were less charming. One guy yelled that my animals smelled like the end times. Another complained to the HOA that my horses pooped too loud. That's not a joke. That's a direct quote. Then they tried to serve me a livestock eviction notice. No authority, just a Word doc printed in Comic Sans and duct taped to my barn. I left it there for 3 weeks. But I knew Linda wouldn't back down. She saw my land as an eyesore. I saw her as an obstacle. Then came the gate. Not a metaphor. A literal 6-foot metal gate, keypad entry, bolted across the only access road to my property. It appeared overnight, no notice, no warning. Just cold steel where there used to be open road. My address? Locked out of the system. I had to climb the fence just to get into town. I called the local sheriff. By the time Deputy Warner arrived, I was standing beside the gate with my arms crossed. "They put this here today?" he asked. I nodded. "That's obstruction of a public right-of-way," he muttered. Linda arrived mid-report, SUV humming, smile tight. "Officer, is there a problem?" she asked. "Did your HOA install this gate?" She launched into a speech about neighborhood security. He stopped her cold. "This road is maintained by the county. You have no authority to block access. Remove it. Now." She tried to argue that the HOA had informally annexed the road. He actually laughed. "There's no such thing." He handed her a citation. Told her if the gate wasn't gone by sundown, the county would tear it down themselves and bill the HOA. It was gone by 4 p.m. Linda screamed at the workers the whole time. That night, someone egged my barn. 2 days later, my water line was clogged. The filter was packed with mulch deliberately stuffed into the intake. My horses went without water until I could fix it. I filed another report. Then came the golf carts. 2 HOA carts, circling my property at midnight. Sirens low, lights flashing. My horses panicked. One broke a fence panel. Then came the hay bales slashed open, soaked in something oily. The vet said it looked like motor oil. Enough. I installed security cameras, floodlights, a drone system. I went full Fort Knox. The footage didn't disappoint. Linda's husband snooping around with a flashlight. Another HOA board member pouring milk over my keypad box. A third trying to slash my fence line with garden shears. I sent a cease and desist through my lawyer, Gloria Navarro. We included screenshots, zoning maps, footage. 3 board members ghosted Linda the same week. She, of course, doubled down. She posted online that I was running a biohazard. Said my horses had diseases. Claimed I was holding rodeos and birthday parties for money. I wasn't even on the HOA Facebook group, but Mrs. Dawson, retired math teacher and secret rebel, started sending me screenshots. Thing is, Linda's lies made people curious. They started dropping by to see for themselves. Parents, kids, gardeners asking for manure. It backfired beautifully. But Linda wasn't done. A new letter came. Not from her. From the Regional Environmental Agency. Someone had filed a complaint claiming my manure was contaminating a nearby creek. I welcomed inspection. The agent arrived. Looked around. Confused. "This isn't what we expected," he said. After testing the water, the truth surfaced. Fertilizer runoff wasn't from my land. It was from the HOA's greenbelt. Gloria smiled when she heard that. She filed a lawsuit the next day. Harassment, trespassing, defamation, intentional interference. We asked for $250,000. Linda panicked. 2 more board members resigned. One emailed me personally with an apology and offered to testify. Then I found it. A letter, tucked away in my uncle's old files. From Linda, dated 10 years ago. An offer to buy Hawthorne Ridge for nearly twice its market value. She wanted to turn it into a luxury garden retreat. My uncle had scrawled across it in red pen. Absolutely not. It was never about aesthetic harmony. She wanted the land. And when she couldn't buy it, she tried to destroy it. At the next HOA meeting, I showed up with Gloria and a zoning map the size of a chalkboard. We stood before the entire board, neighbors watching. "This," I said, tapping the boundary line, "is the HOA's jurisdiction." I tapped again. This is Hawthorne Ridge, not yours. Gloria backed it up with evidence. Then she handed over a USB drive. On here, she said calmly, is video footage of your president's husband trespassing at 2 a.m. Linda turned pale. The room erupted. One board member stood up. Did you file an EPA report without board approval? She didn't answer. Another member turned to me. We didn't know. I know, I said. But now you do. 3 days later, the county sent a letter. Any attempt to annex Hawthorne Ridge would be considered illegal interference with protected agricultural land. Historical designation confirmed. The final blow came when Linda tried to paint my barbecue as a commercial event. The fire department arrived and laughed when they saw our setup. I had fire permits, inspections, safety measures, all of it. Linda had nothing. We went to court. The evidence? Devastating. Every escalation, every letter, every lie. The judge ruled in my favor. Fines voided. Damages awarded. Injunction granted. Linda? Gone. She resigned 2 weeks later. I took the settlement money and fixed up the ranch. Repainted the house. Built a riding arena for the neighborhood kids. And then I built the sign. Big. Bold. Beautiful. Hawthorne Ridge. Agricultural zone. Horses welcome. Linda's not. It became a landmark. Tourists took selfies. Someone printed it on a t-shirt. Linda moved. Quietly. One day I found a letter. No return address. Just my name. It was from her. An apology. Sort of. She admitted she might have overstepped. Claimed it was all about community standards. I didn't reply. I just rode Max around the fence line that evening. The sun dipped behind the hills. The wind was warm. The air clean. Peace. Finally. And it was mine. All of it. Forever.